What's going on, guys? 24/7 Tech here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Dell XPS 13. Dell has updated it for 2020 a couple of months ago, and it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's a decent update, and in this video we're going to be going over everything that's new, you know, the nice features, design, display, all of that stuff. Stay tuned for an awesome video. Please subscribe down below, guys. Every subscriber makes a difference. I'm still growing. I think I have a lot of potential left, and every subscriber makes a difference. Please do your part and subscribe. Also, while you're at it, go follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It doesn't take a while, and I post amazing live updates. And during WWDC, I updated my Twitter as well, talking about, you know, my opinions on the new iOS, iPadOS, and all that stuff. So please go follow it to get more behind-the-scenes updates, and also check out my articles that I write for Medium. Link in description down below and on here. Just go to medium.com/@247tech, and you can see the awesome articles that I make. Let's get on with the video now. Okay, so when I look at a laptop, Windows or Mac, I look at a couple of categories that I think are the main categories that really define a computer. The first one is design, performance, display, keyboard and trackpad, that, you know, that whole system, battery life, and then the last one is, you know, a price segment. Is it valuable? You know, you can have an amazing laptop, but if it's $10,000, then you're gonna scratch your head and be like, okay, that's too much money. So those are the 6 pillars that I think are good for a laptop, and in this video we're going to be grading the XPS out of 10 in each category, and then giving it a final score to see what it could be. Okay, before we get into the first category, the design, a little disclaimer here. I know you guys might disagree with my opinion, I've seen it in the comments before, all of that, but keep in mind it's really hard for any laptop to score, you know, super high, like 98, 99, 100 out of 100, because no laptop's perfect. I mean, it's just not possible to be perfect. So this is going to be my opinion. I mean, you guys can comment down below what you guys think. But let's head to the design. Okay, the Dell XPS 13 has a really nice design. I honestly love it. There are 2 laptops that I think have a comparatively better design. It's the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, you know, that whole MacBook lineup, and the Surface lineup. Not the Surface Book, but more the Surface laptop. I really like those designs, but however, the Dell XPS, if they're here, the other ones, the XPS is right here. The XPS, the design is much better. They renovated it last year in 2019 with the 2-in-1, and then they brought it over to this one in 2020, and it looks awesome. It's got the new maglev keyboard. The keyboard is also bigger. It extends to the corners. There's a webcam on top. There's no more Dell logo on the bottom, so it looks really clean. And the whole laptop itself looks they eliminated all the mess, you know, the mishap that they didn't really need. And it just looks really clean like the other computers I talked about. And for that, I give the design score a 9 out of 10. It's solid. The other ones probably score a 9.5, you know, respectively. But this one's a 9 out of 10. That's a solid score, by the way. The Dell XPS 13 has a great design. Okay, so now we're going to go into the performance category. Now, this is a controversial category because the XPS has a lot of options, customization. Like, I mean, that's the only laptop Dell sells for the high-end consumer market, so they really have to pack everything they can in it. So I really like the Dell high-end XPS 13. You know, the high-end XPS 13 really has everything that the other ones have. But when it comes to the baseline and, you know, those processors and graphics cards and stuff, Dell is really lagging. Alright, let's start off, and all of these processors have 4 cores. Keep in mind, they're either i5s or i7. They improved that. Last year it used to be a dual-core i3 to start off, which is honestly so bad for 2019. But in 2020, at least it got changed. So the XPS 13 starts at $1,200, right? It's got a 4-core processor. Comparatively, let's talk about the MacBook Air. For $1,100, it's got a 4-core processor, Iris plus G7 graphics, which is insane. I mean, I don't expect that. I expect more like Iris plus 645, 655s in these computers, in this price range. But the XPS 13 gets Intel's UHD graphics, which is really bad. I mean, I don't think that's great. And Iris plus 645, if they had it in there, it would be amazing. Like, that's like the one thing that I would want. But if it comes with the UHD graphics, that's a real bummer for me. And graphics work is really useless. And then if you want to upgrade to the next model, it's so much more money. And then you have unnecessary upgrades like, you know, a RAM boost or an SSD boost or an i7 processor, which you don't need really. The i5 is still good enough. Another thing, this isn't a bad thing, it's just that the the old generation XPS, the 2019 one, had a 6-core processor option, Now, I'm not saying this is amazing, but of course it does add some performance, but the thermals weren't that great. I still think that that was much better, and they should have added it for 2020 as well, but we didn't see it. Okay, so the score that I give the XPS 13 for the performance is an 8.5 out of 10. I think that if they knocked the graphics out properly, with the G7 graphics, like the MacBook Air with the 4-core processor all the way through, and they added a 6-core processor too, I think this unit would be a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10. It's awesome. Aside from the graphics thing, it's still a really great processing machine. Okay, now we're gonna get into the display. The display is a controversial one for the XPS 13. I've seen a bunch of reviewers say this as one. This one is the hardest category for a lot of people too in the XPS, because there are two options. There's the 1920 by 1080 one, which is, you know, not the best quality. I mean, it gets bright enough, but it's just not good enough, you know? You've got the MacBook Air, which is $999, packing a 2560 by 1600 display, which is much better, but you have the 1920 by 1080 here. Let's talk about the good things though. I love the 16 by 10 aspect ratio on this now. It's the same as the MacBooks, not as much as the Surfaces, but it looks much better than the old generation XPSs, and it looks like the computer's, I don't know, more polished? I think that's the right word for it. But the 4K option, the 4K screen looks really nice. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. However, it's not a huge deal compared to like the Surface Book 3, which has a 3K display, which is still amazing. However, the battery life on the 4K one is really bad. You get around 5 to 6 hours with it, whereas on the upper end one, the battery life is amazing. The 1920 by 1080 one, and it makes sense because it's not, you know, processing as much pixels. But I still gave the display score a 9 out of 10 because no matter which one you go with, I mean, it depends on what you want. You know, if you're always plugged in, if you're always using your laptop at your desk most of the time, you know, like 90% of the time, the 4K one might be better because you can just have a charger right there. But I'm a person who wants, you know, a bit of everything, you know. I want the right display, the right battery life, and everything. But the XPS just doesn't offer that, and I guess I get why. Now we're gonna head to the keyboard and trackpad segment. I think this is a really good spot for Dell. Their keyboard is awesome. Their trackpad is bigger. Windows precision drivers are amazing. Not as good as Mac's, but it's really undoubtedly an amazing category. And if they had the Mac trackpad, you know, those glass trackpads that are just amazing, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. But I think it's a 9.5 out of 10. The trackpads are not Mac level. I mean, those are just really good. But the keyboard is amazing. I really like it. The trackpad is also nice and big. Like, before, Windows trackpads used to seem so small coming from, you know, those large 13-inch MacBook Pro trackpads. But now it's big enough. Same with the Surface lineup now. But it's amazing. I gave it a solid 9.5 out of 10. Okay, the last category before the price one is battery life. I'm gonna come straight out of the bat here. I think it's an 8.5 out of 10. Let me explain why. As I said before, the 4K one doesn't have as good battery life. It's almost like a trade-off here, you know? Either you go for the display or the battery life. But the battery life, first of all, in the 1920 by 1080 one is decent. It's the same as, you know, a normal industry, you know, $1,000, $1,200 laptop. It's the same thing, nothing special. If it's the same, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Why I reduced it to 8.5 is that the 4K one is just really pathetic. I think what Dell could have done is make a completely different one for the 4K, you know, a different lineup, and then add a high, you know, more wattage battery, because it's a 4K display. There's almost double the pixels here, and it really just needs a bigger battery to do anything, and it makes sense. It's powering a huge display with a lot of pixels. Okay, now we're gonna get to the big one, the price and the value. Most people, when they buy, you know, a high-end laptop, they look for the base model, or, you know, maybe one upgrade on top of that, or two upgrades, or like the tier next onto it. The base model, as I said before, please avoid it. It does not have the great graphics. It's $1,200. And you can find something better if you go to apple.com or microsoft.com. The Dell XPS 13, if you bump it up, it's $1,500 for the next one. And I think this model is good. Where the problem comes in is, you know, there's a lot of extra upgrades that you can do. And they're kind of tempting, you know? There's like a $100 upgrade from 256 to 512. It's a no-brainer, but if you keep adding them on, you know, it kind of gets to like $1,600, $1,700, and you know, it gets kind of expensive as you go on. And plus, $1,500 for what Dell's giving in this laptop is also not the best deal. It's okay, yeah, but that's all it is. You know, it's just right there. And but the base model is really subpar. I mean, if you buy the base MacBook Pro for $1,300, you get a quad-core processor, an amazing one. You get Iris Plus 645 graphics, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. That's like the baseline. That should be the baseline. And a lot of companies are following this, but Dell isn't, which is why I have to give this an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, so we're reaching the end of this video, and I think that the Dell gets an 88 out of 100. Now, 90 out of 100 means it hits all the categories perfectly, you know? It hits all the categories, not perfect. Perfect is like the MacBook's trackpad, which this computer's not. But it hits all the categories, and it does good in all of them. Dell hits at 88, which is honestly amazing. It's so close to hitting all of the categories, and you can't really expect a laptop to do that. I mean, they don't have endless amounts of money, and you know, they can't go into losses because they want to give you the best product. And an 88 is awesome. Some computers that I do think would be better, one in particular is Microsoft Surface Laptop 3. It's honestly, you know, it hits all the categories. I'd give it around 90 to 93, something like that, in that range, because it hits all the categories and it excels in some, like the display, the 3:2 aspect ratio. It's just amazing. Now, not to say that the XPS 13 isn't good, but I think there are some other viable options. You should check out Apple's website and Microsoft Surface lineup just to, you know, get a feel for something else if you're looking for an XPS 13. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe down below. Every subscriber makes a difference, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.